I am Silas from Integral Works. Welcome to the fourth and final part of our webinar series. Today I want to talk about how we can check our development for completeness, how we can find blind spots or holes or gaps, as you will, in our own development. This is the most advanced application of these models, not because you have to understand them better, but actually because you have to allow more depth in looking at yourself. You have to be brutally honest with yourself in order to find these gaps, because usually they are on a little bit on the unconscious side. We're not going to talk about shadow. That's a issue that is too big for this video. We're going to look at how you can kind of leave behind certain things, certain parts of yourself while you develop. Before we can do that though, I have to make a distinction between two different kinds of lines that are on these models. This is a distinction that Ken Wilber famously made and is very important in order to understand. The first kind of line is the view line. So view lines are, worldview is the most important one, or the most central one, and the worldview that you had as a teenager, it is gone, okay? You cannot go back and look through the world as a teenager. It doesn't work. You can kind of abstractly and cognitively try to see it again as you saw it then, but it is an abstraction of that worldview, because the worldview is gone, okay? Views are lost while you develop. Old views, they just go away. The other kind of line is the structure line. And structure lines they build on top of each other, as do view lines, but you keep the lower stages as kind of tools in your toolbox. So think of cognition. You don't lose symbols just because you develop concepts. You are still using symbols. And you also don't lose, for example, rational and empirical thinking just because you start to understand systems. So structure lines, they keep all of the stuff that you developed before, and they kind of make a new stage or a new structure with the stuff from the old structure. Let me make a concrete example of that. So I took my boy once to a playing ground, and I told him, look, today we're going to that playing ground. And he said, okay, I want to take my yellow car with me. And I said, good, okay. So I packed it, and I packed the wrong car because he has many yellow cars and I thought he wanted that one. Anyway, so we arrive at the playing ground. I give him his car and he goes, no, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted that other one. I want to go back. And I say, no, but now we're here. We can't go back. Can you just play with this? No, I can. And then you go, you guys probably notice, this is a huge drama. Okay, this is a big thing for him, and he goes into tantrum and gets angry and all of that. So now how can I understand what he is going through? When I take a view line like his worldview, for example, I can try to understand why this car is so important to him. But this is abstract. So I have to think, okay, he has just developed some sort of images of the future. So when I say we're going to the playing ground, he says, I want to take that car. He has the picture of himself in the playing ground with that car. And this is, of course, very emotionally charged. So he wants to go there and he's looking forward to it. Now, if you change just a little bit of that concept, if you switch the car for another one, the concept breaks down, because concepts are not yet interchangeable. They're very new and hard to form and hard to keep in mind. So if just a tiny bit of it is changed, it breaks down, and the whole emotional attachment to it also breaks down. That's why the reaction comes. This is a kind of understanding that is really abstract. This is because I can't look through the world really through his eyes. The other way, when I take a structure line, so for example, I could take a emotional line, I can look at him and see, what does he feel? Okay, I see anger. That's red or even below. I see despair or sadness. Okay, I feel that too. I can empathize with him because all of these emotions are still in me and working in me. I keep them while I develop. So it's very easy for me to understand what he's going through because those same emotions I have all the time. That's the difference between those lines. One is very abstract if you try to go back, and the other one is very real when you go back. Now, this sort of checking for completeness is something that you can only do with structure lines because, as I said, view lines, you lose the stages before. When you take a structure line, though, you should have all of the structures of the lower stages, of the stages beneath you. You should have kept them. If you haven't kept one of them, there is a gap. There is something working in your unconscious and you better get it out. So let me give you an example of how this process could look like. I'm going to take the needs line. This is a structure line, so all of the needs below should be working in me. You know that from Maslow's pyramid. And I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down until I find a stage that I can really identify with. Not just, okay, yeah, this sounds cool, but okay, I feel this in myself. This is working in me. So I find myself in this example on green. There is harmony. Yeah, I want harmony and I want to be seen. I want to be understood by my peers and by my friends and by my family. Okay, so my values are on green. Now I go further down the stages and I see, okay, there is success and recognition on orange. Yeah, I feel that still. I need that. And there is belonging, okay, yeah, on amber, and leadership and recognition by authority. And there I go, huh? No. Why would I be recognized? Why would I want to be recognized by an authority? There is no authority. I don't recognize any authority that could recognize me. Okay, now we have a gap. There is a need, a real need that is working on amber and that should be working in me, even though it's not as important, of course, because it's 2 stages down from me, but it's still there. And if I cannot feel it and I cannot make contact with it, there's something fishy. So now I know where to look. So I can, for example, go into a situation where I am confronted with somebody that I could maybe see as an authority in certain areas, as much as my green value stages, need stages allows me to, and then try to get myself in a situation where I would want to have their recognition. So for example, if they are very, very apt in a certain field that I'm interested in, I do some work. I maybe write an essay or I have an idea about it and I tell them and look for the need that arises in me for them to like it and to tell me I did a good job, because that's something that is real inside of me. I'm going to do a quick other example with values. It's another structure line, so you keep the lower stages. And here I find myself, for example, on teal with authenticity, wholeness, flow. Those are things that are important in the world. So that's my value stage. Now I go further down. Okay, peace, yeah, still that's very important. Harmony, very important. I go down and suddenly I stumble over righteousness on amber. And I go, righteousness? You mean self-righteousness, right? Righteousness, it's not a real value. It's just something you make up to make yourself feel good. Another gap in my development. Now, again, I know where to look. I can find people, for example, in my family or in my extended circle of friends that I think lead what they would call a righteous life. They might be, for example, religious and have a very clear image of a righteous life. And I go and try to understand and empathize with that value. Why is it so important? Because once you have contact with this value, it's actually very powerful. It's a very powerful idea of leading the righteous life. You see that this is very tricky and you have to be very, very honest with you. It's very easy to say, oh, no, that can't be. That must be a mistake. They put something on there that actually doesn't belong there. But believe us that really thought about this a lot, and we have a lot of experience with exactly this work. So if it's on there, there's a reason for it. This process is much easier when you do it with somebody else who can help you interpret, because you cannot as easily trick yourself. So I recommend that you do it with a colleague or a friend or a spouse or a partner that you trust deeply. And when you find your development has no large gaps anymore, you can actually work with people with this process. And it's a very, very deep and profound work that happens here. So anyway, that was the fourth and final part of our webinar series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you could get something from it. Let us know in the comments how you thought it, how you worked with it. How did you miss something? Do you have more questions? Was something strange about it? Do you have input to us? And there will be another webinar, more in the form of a Q&A in September, I think. So make sure to check your inbox. You will find, if you have one of these, you will find an email, a newsletter, and I would love to see you guys in person and live. So until then, all the best. This is Silas, signing off.